You said it earlier. Shaq said it. They shouldn't bother to even finish this season. Do you still believe it? I know you said that they are going to play. Do you still believe that it's not worth playing?
Listen, I'm 100% sure they're going to play, just from what I'm hearing from my people, but I just don't know how it's going to be safe. I really don't. I would hate for something bad to happen, and I would hate to see one of the stars get hurt and they lose in the first round or second round of the playoffs to an inferior team. Let me tell you something. You can have 100 players on a team in the NBA. If you lose Giannis, LeBron, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, it don't matter about those other 99. That's the thing that scares me. If Giannis gets sick and has to miss the first round of the playoffs, the Milwaukee Bucks are not going to win. They're out. That wouldn't be fair at all.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. Pharrell.
Coast to coast. I do Pharrell coast to coast on SB Nation from 4 to 6 Eastern. It's my Sports Grid show. I know you love it. I'm talking to the coolest people in sports, unique characters, you name it, I bring it to you. Wait till you get a load of me when I'm on at 7 p.m. Eastern. We do a show called In Game Live, where I show you how much of an in-game betting problem that I have.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. This is the Big E Sports Show on SB Nation Radio.
Hi, this is Elissa Walker-Campbell, host of the Big E Sports Show that airs every Friday night from 8 to 10 Eastern right here at SB Nation Radio. Every week we promise to deliver the biggest and best in sports and go beyond the X's and O's. Some of our guests include Dick Vermeil, Tony Dungy, Dan Reeves, and Rick Carlisle. We've always got you covered.
Hear the Big E Sports Show every Friday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on SB Nation Radio.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLS number 3030.
Set your system's volume control for slightly above the normal listening level.
Let's go. Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level. A Gal Media property in partnership with Jacob Media, where we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shander.
The NHL has a plan, and they're back with the plan. It's going to take a little bit. It's probably going to take another couple of months at least in order to see everything on the ice as far as an actual postseason. And credit them for just expediting this thing, not leaving any fat left on the steak, trim it all out, go for the meat of it, which is the bread and butter of what they do, and that's provide high-level entertainment in the playoffs. Nobody's going to sit here and cry over 15, 20 games of a regular season for the NHL. Not me. I can't imagine there are many people with any type of platform, even in hockey-first cities, that would be yelling and screaming, how dare they take away from us this amazing source of entertainment. The reality is that we all wait around for the NHL playoffs, the run to the cup. That's it. And thankfully, as we know, there'll be 2 hub cities, and both sides will have 12 teams each. We'll talk about this coming up in 5 minutes. It does open up some questions because the game itself allows teams that are lower seeds to not only advance, unlike anything we'll see in the NBA really at all with 1-8, but go on and win a cup. So a lot of excitement in the air. Now it's like, all right, where's basketball? NFL we know is not doing anything different. And then here comes MLB, still lagging. Now, I was listening this morning as I was rounding hole number 6 with the Bluetooth in my ear. And it must have been at the top of the previous hour, because I had no idea. And this is why you tune into the Jake Asman show, because you leave more informed than when you came in. I had no idea today was the anniversary of AOL. So while Jake told a very entertaining, informative story about his first email, we've all had paths that have crossed an AOL email. I put out on Twitter at Shander Show. How many people do you know still use AOL? Wait until you hear. If you think this is just for the 75 and above crowd, you're in for a shock. Just like I was, and now Gary Bettman's talking up a storm over the last 2 weeks. It's the second level.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%.
Jake wants to know if you shot straight today.
Depends. Depends what club. Man.
Depends on what club.
So
that's your.
I belong to this club is impossible, and it's just because my
Little or no
soon-to-be
out-of-pocket.
family is there. It's an amazing, beautiful club, but they have 27 holes, so they have an 18 and a 9. And I played the 9. I walk the 9 pretty much every morning because nobody's out there. It's still tough. It's a valley, so it's hills and valleys. But I parred the 2 3s. I bogeyed 3 other holes,
At CDW.
and I double bogey / picked up on the other 3 holes. That's why I'm Tom Brady. I'm telling you though, I'm dead serious. I can't go out until about like 8:45 or so. That's the earliest I can really start walking because there's maintenance there. So I get your show. And I just have it in the Bluetooth and I'm listening. I might, puff a ball or something. Play some golf.
Happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology,
Was that it, or did he
your
just
favorite
walk out
showroom,
and
check
discuss?
out the brand.
No, I was holding down the IFB button for both of you guys.
Oh, okay.
Do you want him on air? I'm sure he'll jump on air.
Out of hand. Call Consolidated.
Or if you got shit you want to get through,
I don't do.
he's here.
All right.
Going down. Call Consolidated Credit now. If the interest rates.
Get into an argument.
Like you two did?
I got, yeah.
Oh man, you yeah. Let's bring him on. Actually, let's bring him on because I wanted to bring that up, but since he's here, let's bring that up.
The World Cup playoff.
Yeah. And then I
Okay,
want to.
Which side of the fence are you on? Do you not want to bring up the Warriors?
Me? Well, no, I'll save it for the air. We don't. But another thing too, towards the end of the show, maybe like for the one for the road, we have to call Peralta out. He, for the first time in his life, he took a shot at Tom Brady, and I know that's only because that guy is no longer playing up in New England.
That's true.
Oh my goodness! I was listening like I forgot I was even listening to Peralta, and I was like, "What? Hold on a second."
Funny.
He was killing Brady for the lying on the handicap.
Well, I can have for that final segment, I can have Jose make sure that he's
Perfect.
near his radio.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll bring that up, and we can get on for it.
Scratching
Is Jake
beneath
there?
the surface.
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, great.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans.
He's standing by with the headphones on.
Awesome.
Eitan Shander.
That's crazy. I put this out on Twitter because I heard Jake Asman, who, of course, is still there. Me and 99.9% of any people in this business, your shift is over, you're out the door. But I love Jake for wanting to hang out and congregate and do some things that maybe it's a little easier to focus and work than it is at home. No knock there by any means. I love you for it.
Appreciate it.
But see, here's the thing. I didn't realize that today was the anniversary of AOL. So based on you bringing it up earlier in your show, in the Jake Asman show, 9 to 11, Monday through Friday, Eastern time in the morning before me here, I threw it out there expecting people to say what I got early on was my dad, he's 74. I got that one. I got one. My dad refuses to switch. My pop, still to this day, even caught them charging him the old monthly $20 for AOL service in the mid-2000s just to keep his email. It's just insane. All of the early ones. Then, all of a sudden, I got people coming in a little younger. Methyl Ethel at Joe T5252. My wife, who's 44. All right. Now a little younger. Sergio Martinez at Martinez 2634. My wife, and she's 25. Now that's your age group right there. That's your age range right there. You can't still try and sell me that you have an AOL email account.
I don't know how people still could use AOL emails. It's so outdated. It's not as easy to use as like a Gmail. Gmail's the way of the future. I mean, you do everything off.
It's the way of the now.
YouTube is on Google now. You have, obviously Zoom is a Google thing. Everything we do, Google Docs for rundowns, Google Grids, everything is Google. Everything revolves around Gmail. I don't know how anyone can still be using an AOL email at this point.
At Allen_M, 31 here and still rocking one.
Wow.
Now, I will say this. I did see a great example, and I don't know if either of you are familiar with the great Jeff Rickard. He's all over Sirius XM and now is the program director up in Indy, 107.5 The Fan. So he tweets in every now and again, and this actually, he usually makes sense with his tweets, but this makes the most sense to me, but nobody else explained it this way. It makes the most sense as why you would still have an AOL email account. And before you go, real quick, I do need to bring something else up. I guess I need to thank you sarcastically for firing up Ron Culver today, because now he's all pissed off for the 2 hours here after that back and forth in the World Cup idea in the NBA. So don't think that you're getting out of here without some sort of explanation as far as what the heck happened. But here's Rickard. Still use my original account for anything I need to sign up for, and that I know will put me on a mailing list. Nothing personal, though.
Well, I like that idea.
I do, too.
I do something similar, though. I use my friend's email just to mess with them a lot of times. It's a little practical prank. You
guys sound like you only have one email address.
I don't. How do you have How do you have four? I don't even have a word. I can't even get a Gal Media account.
I have four, but I really actively only use two.
This is like
we won't give you a Gal Media account, Eitan.
Okay,
that's for the privileged few.
I understand.
College email. We have the Gal Media email.
College email? How you're 25? You still have a college email? You need to move on.
I'm just naming emails that I have. I don't think I've opened the college email since I graduated. But you
still know the password.
No, I honestly I don't think I would.
So it's gone now. You can't say you have a college email.
All I know is
because I can say I have a college email.
Where'd
somewhere out there? Cal State Northridge.
So at Cal State Northridge.
No, it wasn't even that, dude. You got to remember, I was in school a long time before you guys. Right. So my college
not
email,
too long before me.
Well, not too long before you. I got my first email address in 95.
AOL?
No. Ooh. No, this was something more primitive than that.
No, I imagine you probably had some sort of net that was just inside the college.
I don't even know what that was, because I remember what the assignment was, and this was the assignment. Was to log onto your email address and send your teacher send our professor a note saying hi.
Right, just to show
that was the main assignment. And it wasn't as simple as just like, let me just type in my username and password. Click,
right.
Okay, here it is.
You probably have 6-year-olds that do that now.
Well, dude, you had to go through this, you had to go through that. I'm looking at I look at my kid, I have I have 3 boys, but my 9-year-old logs into his account for his 3rd grade class all the time. And he's just like, oh, yeah, here you go, Dad. Here. And I'm like, my God, look at you.
Yeah, everybody. See, all the kids are used to it.
Age.
Well, that's the difference, though, is in college, so I was in Gettysburg around 97 was my freshman year. So we had this net, and it was just the intranet, right, where it was just Gettysburg College. You had your own Gettysburg email address and everything. And I remember that it was still early on to where even the practices for email weren't as advanced as it is now, meaning if you're on an email chain and somebody replies all, you just remove yourself or you mute it or you move on, right? So I remember the president of the college at one point sent out an email, and my friend Jeff here in Philly, we went to school together, replied all with the Contra code. Oh. Just that, up, up, down, down, left, right, right? And it was like an email chain for weeks. People were responding. How dare you? It was like a Twitter. It was early, pre-Twitter. And it was like some sort of Twitter thread where people were just arguing back and forth nonstop. Take me off this. Stop replying all. And then somebody else would reply all. And there was no way, since it was so old, that they could stop it until it just burned out.
Nothing's worse than reply all guy. I mean, that's been a problem now since email's been invented, clearly. Because here in 2020, you still have people that do the old reply all, and you're like, you kidding me? We're still doing this? Like, you can individually respond to this person. And we get happy birthday emails at this company, Aton. You're lucky you don't have a Gal Media email.
I guess you're right.
Sometimes it's like, happy birthday to so-and-so. We're great. Each person can individually contact that person instead of hitting reply all to see that you're wishing that person a happy birthday.
Kind of makes you feel bad when you don't respond.
No,
that's what I don't like about it.
I just say I never got it. It went to my spam, something like that. Now listen to this. Patrick Creighton weighs in. I still use an AOL email, unlimited storage. Isn't Gmail like? You really need to have a ton of crap in your
still
inbox.
A thing?
What are you downloading so much like pornography there, Creighton, that you
Probably. Yeah, but here's the thing.
Storage on Gmail or something.
You don't really need to download pornography anymore. It's just so readily available on sites.
Well, he's still using an AOL email, so maybe he might not know that.
That's true. You know what? That is a very, very good point there.
Now I know, like, there are certain people, like our illustrious boss. He still uses AOL, but that's because if he was to change it, there's too many people for him to contact.
Okay, so now you're on to something as well, because Jeff Rickard at 107.5 in Indy brought up that he uses this for like retail and stuff that he knows he's going to get spammed. But my mom she's a doctor. She still uses AOL because she has clients. She has so many people that are attached to that AOL that she's seen for years. So I can sympathize with that. I still question, and I'm trying to get her to transfer over, and she now has a Gmail. I don't even know if it's working, but has a Gmail. But that's a real thing where there are people who have had the email in a business or industry where you need to contact a lot of people routinely via that email, that it's a pain in the butt to go through and just rework everything. So I understand that.
Yeah, that would get annoying real quick.
Yeah.
That's why we all hold on to our cell phone number for way too long. I still have a San Diego cell phone, even though I lived in San Diego for 12 years, but I've also lived in Hawaii, Arizona. Now I'm in Texas, but I still have a San Diego area code.
It seems like a major hassle to change your phone number, unless you're a big celebrity where you're getting hacked or your number gets leaked,
or you're Jimmy Butler, just readily give it out.
Well, that could be too.
Or you're ESPN and you blast Trevor Bauer's phone number out in FaceTime on a Korean broadcast. Then I think you got to change your number. But for the most part, I think it's more of a nuisance to change your number than you're better off just keeping it.
Yeah, I agree. Have you ever mistakenly given anybody somebody's number, like a buddy? You've ever mistakenly given, maybe in the business or a friend or in some capacity, mistakenly given out a contact?
Ooh, let me think. Not off the top of my head, I can't think of.
Jake does it to me every day.
I give Ron the wrong guess.
The statute of limitations
he gives me names and numbers all the time, and I'm like, "You sure about this
one?"
Well,
yeah, but see, here's the thing.
I'm putting this up on Reddit.
Well, that's the thing. I was just about to say you could trust Ron Culver, but apparently not. Apparently, you can't trust Ron with anything. I thought it was just the 2 hours with me. Now I see it's even before that. Well, no, I was curious. I did that one time where it was late and out at night and with a couple of friends and a couple of other people, acquaintances, if you will. And one of the acquaintances asked for my friend Ryan's number, and I must have been lit because I mistakenly gave her Ryan Howard's number. And this is, I don't know, 2 years after he got called up by the Phillies. So a long, long time ago. And that was probably the end of it. Like, it reminded me when you were saying Trevor Bauer, the cell phone getting out there. I can't imagine. I apologize in retro, but the statute is definitely lifted for that. All right, let's look at this real quick. All right, because I know you have to get on and do a bunch of different work, and you need to be in the studio and building for the next 2 hours for your show tomorrow.
Yes.
And real quick, for anybody still paying attention, locked into the program, Jason Stark's going to join us in 18 minutes. That's going to be humongous. What happened?
I like how you said that. If anyone's still listening to the program after 20 minutes of nonsense.
Well, here's the thing, right? The NHL, this is a perfect representation. Like, the NHL comes out and everybody goes nuts, and I'm happy too. But we have to wait a while for hockey to come back. So that spurned the conversation between you two earlier this morning. And again, I am peaceful. I'm the only person on a golf course. The birds are chirping. The sun is up. There's a little humidity. It's a beautiful day. And in my ear, which I love, mind you, the conflict I love. I can't get enough of it. I'm like Phil Jackson, more of it. I hear Ron Culver berating Jake Asman over this World Cup idea to allow every single NBA player and team into the playoffs.
Am I wrong with that, Eitan? Where do you stand on it? Because basically, my whole point is,
I think
all
you're
for adding a couple extra teams, like what hockey's doing, but I don't need to see the 15 and 50 Golden State Warriors be rewarded with a fake playoff that they're allowed to be in.
I know, and that's where I was having trouble. And this is where Ron is really good, and I hate to admit it, but he really is good at this. Is I really didn't know there was a moment to where he was pushing you. And I didn't know if he had a smile on his face almost, and I hate to use a buzz term like trolling you, but almost pushing you, or if he really wanted to see Steph and Clay take fire and win the whole damn thing. Like, I really didn't know at that point.
Yes, I hate the Warriors. I really, really do. I'm a Laker fan through and through. I can't stand the Warriors. I'm not a big fan of Steph Curry.
So keep him out of the playoffs.
No,
what do you want him in there
I want
for?
to see anarchy.
All 30 teams make
all
playoffs.
30 teams make the playoffs.
It just what was the point of playing the first 4 months of the season?
Because this is a new season. This is a new era.
Well, that's why you take
do
the
something
hockey
radical.
approach.
Don't take the hockey approach.
What you
We
allow
don't need
teams,
hockey approach.
A new season? Wait a second. If you're going to put
not a new season, we're just saying, hey, you know what? Let's do a round robin tournament. Let's do World Cup style tournament. All 30 teams, you guys get your chance.
Okay,
why
but
not?
If you do that, then you have to at least have it impact your draft position. You can't.
Yes, you got to add some incentives to it.
Okay, you can't be locked into the worst.
No, because that's
first,
and that's very important. I'm glad you brought that up because they haven't held the draft yet. They haven't really. Have they chosen ping pong balls yet?
No, none
they
of
haven't
that.
done any of that.
Right.
So it's up for grabs.
All right, now hold on a second. I feel a little bit like Henry Clay here, the great compromiser. Can we meet Ron halfway by allowing all 30 teams, Jake, into this World Cup style event? If in fact, the better you do, the more games you win, the more it's going to impact your draft status.
Wouldn't you love to see the Warriors screw it up?
Well, all they have to do is just stay home, and they're still the worst team in the NBA.
That's true. Well, just a few players have to stay home.
If you look at the NBA standings, which I did during that segment, the only team that already has an E next to their name is the Warriors.
Exactly.
So I don't need to see them in.
No, you need to see them in. Because if you have a healthy Steph, if you have a healthy Clay, Draymond, I'm assuming is healthy, maybe not so right in the head. We'll see. That's an interesting element to it all. Because, I mean, the one thing that you want to you always hope for in the World Cup is like, okay, I hope my team doesn't make it into the group of death. If you have the Warriors and you have some good Warrior players, you could potentially have a group of death.
Right, you're not wrong with that, but then you devalue everything that's been played to this point, which is why I think the compromise.
Everything's been devalued.
That's why you need the compromise. That's why.
Everything's in the playoffs, right? Damian Lillard says, I'm not playing unless it means something. Well, you're the 9th seed. You're 3.5 out of the West final seed. Let's make it so a couple extra teams do get in. You get to play for the right to be the final 8, like what hockey's doing. They're basically.
Well, now you're adding another. Hold on a second, Jake. Now you're expanding this whole thing, and you're adding another level to this. All we needed was.
I can't keep up with all these levels.
See, we go from the first level, the second level. Now I don't know what the hell was going on. The group
show's going to be called the 8th level by the time we're done today.
Yes, it'll just be called the Ocho, probably more representative of what's on the air anyway. All right, I appreciate you, man, for clearing up some things. And also the AOL tweets are still coming in. We need you to weigh in as well so we can retweet it. We have everybody else here weighing in so far on this. When was the last time you sent an AOL email?
Oh, we're talking probably 2010, 2011. I mean,
yeah. We've all been there. We've all been there.
It's where it began for me. My internet career, it began on AOL. I will always be appreciative of AOL. That You Got Mail will always be an iconic thing that I'll think back to in my life, but it's been quite a while since I actually have used an AOL email.
Well, Jake, I appreciate you bringing that up. And since you're here, we thought we would at least break some bread with you and talk about that topic as it's getting a ton of reaction on Twitter at Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show. We're live on Twitch as well. The NHL is back, but you're going to have to wait. And also something new today from the CDC that might impact fans in the stands next on the second level.
If business, pleasure, or sports fandom takes you to Houston, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, or San Antonio,
Mr.
check
Wilhelm
out
died. You know that?
to get the scoop.
Who?
Mr. Wilhelm.
Who's Mr. Wilhelm?
Jake will know.
The biggest sites in he has to offer. Culture Map has it all. Just
Mr.
head over
Wilhelm.
to culturemap.com.
He's got to put his headphones back on. Okay. Eitan's telling me Mr. Wilhelm died.
Mr. Wilhelm.
Yes.
Is that from okay?
Yes.
Wanted to go hang out with Costanza.
My head. Tony's Fauci is awful. I think I've heard Tony do other impressions. I've heard him do voices.
That guy is in some of the most
they're all
amazing
great. They're all on the
Seinfeld
level.
episodes.
But I don't know. There's something about that Fauci that's really off. This is the dueling Faucis here.
That the idea of having treatments available to facilitate the rehab.
See that Disney World's going to open July 11th?
Yes. Now, the question, because this was a prop bet
or
months ago, is will they require masks?
It's more like...
What did it say? I just saw it. They'll have enhanced safety protocols, including masks and temperature checks.
There you go.
So they'll be doing temperature checks as you walk in. I don't mind it if if Alice wants to take my temperature. If you know what I mean.
What's up, everybody? I am Gabriel Morency inviting you. No, I'm not inviting you. I'm telling you. Join me and the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart weekdays at 6 Eastern as we throw it down on the loudest station in the nation, SB Nation Radio. It's Game Time Decisions with Gabriel Morency and the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Bring it.
Game Time Decisions with Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Into the night.
Here with Phil Simms into the night. All right, Phil, where's the 30 for 30 on Phil Simms and Bill Parcells?
The whole
and
Parcells
the
era with the Giants
exactly.
would be fascinating.
How can that not be a 30 for 30, Bill?
Well, one, it's a new world or an old world back then, so there's not video much of anything, and especially our interactions during practice. So his favorite, I always say this, played under Bill Parcells for 8 years. Of course, we had great success. And when he retired, I had to come home and check my birth certificate to see if my first name began with a P or an F. Because for 8 years, I was F and Sims. F and Sims. It never ended.
Well, you can spell Phil with an F, depending.
Well, I guess you can. Yeah. One of my teammates once said, you should just write FS, so like Lawrence Taylor does LT. And I go, what? Excuse me, what'd you say? He goes, FS. I said, I thought I heard you say that.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. You're listening to The Second Level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
All right, so the NHL is back. What does it mean for Major League Baseball? We'll talk to Jason Stark coming up in 9 minutes. So what you really have to understand with the NHL plan is the two hub cities, wherever they may be, I know it's narrowed down, will host the 24 teams split into 12. And the top four will play against each other, and it will be more so to get your legs ready and really moving in that regard. At the same time, you are going to have the bottom teams fight to get in this thing and have a chance to be racing for the cup. So everybody's excited right now, and rightfully so, because there is at least something tangible we can point to and say, you see, the NHL is coming back. But even in their announcement, the NHL.com announcement that came out, there is a TBD next to that third and final phrase or phase, pardon me, but the phrase of returning. I know it's like, I think it's a color or maybe it's just a number, but that third and final movement that needs to happen is still TBD because there is a range of date. But even that second where everybody is back on the ice, practicing, moving through it, everybody is doing enough to prepare for preseason games, in this case, those skate-around games for the top four, the bottom 12. You look at the opportunity now, if you're, let's say, the Flyers here or any team above them in that one group of 12, the top four teams, and you can play as hard as you want. You could treat it like preseason. It's not truly going to impact outside of who you play, but you're not going to have to travel anywhere. It's not going to be a long road trip, anything along those lines. And guys are going to be mainly as healthy as they were from a bone break or sprain type standpoint, but from an in shape standpoint, everybody's going to be on that same playing field and have the same opportunity to go out there and skate. But we still need to wait. That second phase is labeled somewhere no earlier than the start of July. So if the second phase, which is just people returning, essential, people coming back, essential people that are trainers to coaches to players, anybody in the rink as far as training and preparing for games, that can't start no earlier than the beginning of July. We know we have at least another month. I would think 3 weeks as early as humanly possible, and then probably a month. So August makes sense. And now, if you look at it, and we'll get into this with Jason Stark coming up in 6 minutes, but baseball now has two things on the calendar. Baseball has their own deadline, self-imposed deadline of beginning at the start of July, and knowing now that hockey could come around as early as the end of July, which really limits the amount of runway you have to take off and be the lone star of the show. It really does. You don't have as much room anymore to work with on stage. You've kind of been narrowed down. It's not here yet, but all signs are pointing to a full-on return for the NHL. Now, one thing that we'll get into in the second hour and mention a little bit coming up next, of course, with Stark, but based off everything that's happened over the weekend, all of the different partying and people out and about and easier restrictions, even down to indoor restaurants, depending on where you are around the country. Restrictions have been lifted. Not all, but some have, depending on where you are. And even in stricter areas like in the Northeast, we see restrictions, some being lifted. So now, as we kind of look around, how can you not, unless there is a major setback, and that's what a country like Sweden, for example, is doing now, is trying to get herd immunity to prevent any type of second wave, to where their neighbor, Finland, is probably going to have to go back indoors. Now, that's their theory. That's their working model. But here, we're kind of looking around like, all right, everything is moving towards being outdoors, being indoors, even being in areas where if your temperature is cleared and you're socially distanced, you don't even need to wear a mask. If you're in a restaurant with air conditioned and you've been tested coming in, even if you're asymptomatic, the likelihood of that being socially distanced, the air being moved around, of you being a transmitter or carrier becomes less and less. So it only stands to reason that not only will the NHL be back around that time, but fans would probably be allowed in stadiums around that time. So baseball is really stuck right now if they don't get this thing going. And it's not a good sign when Marcus Stroman of the Mets comes out and says the 2020 season is, quote, not looking promising. Well, we'll see what Jason Stark, always the optimist in Jason Stark. We'll see what he has to say coming up next. It's the second level.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLS number 3030.
Your employees and customers have new expectations when it comes to cleanliness. Cintas has the products and services you need to feel prepared. A trained Cintas technician can apply disinfectant and sanitizer spray to common surfaces. And we'll keep you well stocked with gloves, face masks, hand sanitizer, and disinfectant wipes, professional cleaning supplies, and PPE. Just a few ways Cintas can help you keep your business safe. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
At CDW, we get that businesses will try anything to increase productivity.
We try to increase productivity by putting energy drink in our water cooler.
Slow down, friend. A better idea is to have CDW deploy new devices powered by 8th generation Intel Core V Pro processors.
I get it. Why can't you talk faster?
For productivity solutions, you need Intel and IT orchestration by CDW. Find out more at cdw.com/be great, make the shift.
Over 2.5 million airline passengers fly every day in the United States. Those passengers depend on reliable airplanes, and those planes need certified aircraft technicians. That's where you come in. We are the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, and we train tomorrow's technicians. We train our students hands-on with real aircraft, develop their skills, and prepare them for real jobs in the industry. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the average aircraft technician in the United States makes over $62,000 a year.
The job opportunity is there. The money is there.
If you want to work with your hands, it's a perfect place for you.
Call 800-876-0097.
I'm very impressed with the AIM curriculum. The school's keeping pace with the demands of the industry.
The potential for growth is astounding.
At the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, we train tomorrow's technicians.
800-876-0097. 800-876-0097.
My name is Megan Eddings, founder and CEO of Excel Lifestyle. Research shows that wearing a face mask drastically reduces the spread of the coronavirus. Excel Lifestyle's Prima antibacterial face masks are soft, washable, and double layer for added protection. To purchase you and your loved one's face mask, please go to excellifestyle.com. That's ACCEL lifestyle.com. Once we receive your order, we will ship your masks out immediately. Thank you and stay safe.
Jason's ready.
Awesome. Thank you.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
So a lot to get to because it looks like the NHL has their plan in action. We've been talking about the back and forth between the owners in Major League Baseball and the players, from safety to money. Now it seems like for a couple of weeks. So maybe there's enough of a catalyst with the NHL's plan in action and rumors of the NBA and even the NFL moving on with no real changes. What does that mean for baseball? Also, reaction to Marcus Stroman's comments of the Mets saying the 2020 season not looking promising. So, Jason, I build you as the eternal optimist because every time you and I have ever had a chance to have a conversation in real life or on the phone, you always present a positive side to a story, especially when it comes to a miserable day or week or stretch for the Phillies. So, as always, Jason Stark, the great Jason Stark, at Jason ST on Twitter. Thank you so much for the time. Hopefully everything is well with you and yours.
Hey, Tom, doing well. How about you, my friend?
Everything is great, man. What do you, let's start in reverse. What do you make? Because we've been talking, I know you have been trying to figure out as much as possible about both sides' intents and when this thing can get done. But you see Marcus Stroman come out and say the 2020 season is not looking promising. That seems to be pretty sharp as far as opinion on this thing not actually happening, where everything else, Jason, seemed to be like, it's going to happen. It's just taking a while.
There's no progress. There's no momentum. There's no real reason for optimism other than, like, common sense would tell you they can't be crazy enough to drive their sport off a cliff, right? That's what I keep reminding myself.
Oh.
But we're no closer to a deal today than we were yesterday. We're no closer than we were 2 months ago. And I just find this whole thing to be way too unnecessary, way too much public noise, stirring up way too much discontent among fans and players and both sides. They'd be well served to quiet this down and just get it done, as opposed to making so much noise and heading in the opposite direction. But yesterday didn't advance the ball one bit, like so many different ways that have been run in this negotiation.
What happened? Where do you pinpoint where this thing had an opportunity to get done and fell off the rails to where we are now?
Well, I don't know if they ever had an opportunity to get done. You know, what you would have liked to have seen is these two sides starting these negotiations by saying something like, these are extraordinary times. and then start with that. But that has never been where we've been. 2 months ago, they made an agreement. 2 months later, they can't even agree on what they agreed on. I don't think that's a good sign, but maybe doesn't agree.
Yeah, that is insane. And I wonder if it didn't feel like it, as much as you lay out the stalemate and how things haven't really progressed, it never really felt like baseball wouldn't be a reality this year. It almost felt inevitable that at some point they would play. But I imagine that there's probably a number of games in the owners' minds that if they hit, it doesn't make sense, right? Like 60 games or 50 games to where it may not even make sense to have a season.
That's a really interesting question. When I've asked it, I've always gotten the sense that those who play however many games is possible to play, whether that's 80, 100, 60, 50, whatever it is. If it leads to a postseason, the postseason is where the money is. And so it's more important to them to play than not play. You have to keep that in mind. But we've been hearing these dates. Spring training 2.0 start in early to June. Season kicks up July 4th. Those dates were never poured into any kind of concrete. They're movable. And if they have to move, I think they still can move. If they're not movable, then just do the math. We're 5 days away from June 1st. So this is not a time for the kind of game playing that we're seeing, but this is just not a very functional working relationship right now between these two.
Jayson Stark joining us, senior baseball writer at The Athletic everywhere, MLB Network. You can see him all over the place, hear him and read him at theathletic.com/MLB. How much of this, and it may not be any of it, but I am curious, in your opinion, Jason, how much of this do you think is still posturing to try and win a short-term battle of PR and maybe some leverage that the owners still have?
There's definitely some element of that. I've covered a lot of labor talks, I'm sad to say, and they all start like this, every one of them, with extreme positions that are never going to be where the solution is. And so, I try to remind myself to ignore the play-by-play because it's not productive. It always looks bad until it's not. And so what yesterday was designed to do, this sliding pay scale, was just Rob Manfred serving the ball into Tony Court, and now it's time for the union to respond with some kind of idea. And then we see how the union responds, and we see how the owners react. I think then we'll have a much better feel for whether there's a real chance of a solution or whether this all was just a PR war. And if it was, it's a war that neither side can win.
Do you think that there's any outside pressure that both sides would realize and maybe have some sort of catalyst to have them work a deal out, like the NHL's tangible plan or the NBA right around the corner?
Oh, yeah. Outside pressure is the single biggest reason to think there will be a deal. The NHL, by the way, the NHL Players Union, run by Veer, who used to run the baseball Players Union.
Yes.
Right? So I never thought I was yearning for the good old days of Don Fear running the union, but that's out there. So the NHL is going to get a deal. The NBA, will figure it out. The sports are steering fairly calmly toward a deal. So you've got that. That really ramps up the pressure. And you've got public pressure. That's going to come from three places. It's going to come from people like you and me, the media. It's going to come from fans who get increasingly irate. And I guarantee you it will start coming from politicians. What's the over-under date for the first presidential tweet on this? It's coming up.
I would say if you gave me 7.5 days, I'd take the under and run with it. If you gave me 4.5 days, Jason, I'd take the under and run with it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And when you just think about how hot the heat is going to be, I don't feel like it's possible to weather that heat. I learned when they when they canceled the World Series in 1994. I covered that. This would be worse. That was bad, but there was no pandemic going on then. There weren't 15 people unemployed then. To turn that to the point where you would not play baseball because of money at a time like this would be disastrous.
Well, that's really what it will come down to. Let's just push this worst case hypothetical through here real quick, Jason. And that's there's no season. Neither of the sides can bend or budge at all. And it's just that's it. Stalemate, no season. It will be very difficult. And I'm asking, I would imagine it would be very difficult for either side to turn back and blame it on the pandemic as opposed to just money.
Well, I mean, there was a scenario where they didn't get a deal done because of money, but then announced they couldn't get a deal done because the health and safety concerns were too great to overcome. How they could explain that sports were going to overcome them and not them,
right?
I don't know.
Right.
But there was that possibility. But if it's clear to everybody this broke down over money, I don't know how much damage control could possibly be done to avert the kind of blowback Buddy would get. I don't. As I said, I covered cancellation of the World Series in 1994. Baseball, in many ways, never recovered. Look, they've made plenty of money since then. They found ways to ring the cash register, but baseball never occupied the same place in the American culture after that moment. This would be worse. So they cannot let that happen.
Is there a way, Jason, and I'll appeal to your creativity with the sport, is there a way that instead of trying to race and rush and force a square peg into a round hole, which may be 82 games, they look at it and say, the year is a wash, but we can do something. We can create a World Cup type round robin. We can create a tournament, a World Baseball type tournament. We can be creative with presenting the product, still make some money because people are playing, and ultimately crown a champion, even though it's not a traditional World Series champion.
It's call dropped.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was struggling a little bit towards the end there. That's fine. I do wonder, though, if that could be the case, because we see this with the NHL right now, where they're doing something drastically different than what they've done year in and year out. And it would take, I mean, think about it. If it's going to be that serious where you have Marcus Stroman doubting if there is a season, and you have Jason Stark saying this is now a realistic possibility because no progress at all has been made, maybe the goal should be moved up. Maybe instead of this lofty goal of I'm going to run for president and win it, it's like, why don't you start with your class president first? Why don't you win class president for your senior year in high school, and then we'll talk about politics and moving down the line. You know, you can't make the varsity team when you're in 7th grade. You have to move, and you have to eventually grow into it. So I do wonder if that could be a reality where Major League Baseball scraps the idea of trying to race for this one target for 82 games and instead, or 81 games, whatever it may be, and instead says, let's just create this tournament. Let's create something that is brand new. It doesn't have to be lasting. It doesn't have to be anything moving forward. It's just something that we have, which is a unique and different way, because we're in unique and different times, to present the product. But you're still going to have people out there, players out there, you're going to be making some money. And at that point, you can look at the finances and try to specifically pinpoint how much a guy would make depending on how many games they play. At Shander Show, again, thanks to Jason Stark. The phone line was a little spotty there at the end, but you can follow Jason on Twitter at JasonST, The Athletic, MLB Network, everywhere. We'll wrap the hour next on the Second Level.
Wake up call. Hammerhead bet. Never heard of that. I called him back.
Yeah.
But his phone, I couldn't even understand him. He had told me that he did another interview earlier today, but he was having, the studio kept saying they're having issues with the phone, whoever he was calling.
Okay.
But when we first started talking, it was fine.
Yeah.
Then it's as it was going on, it was, getting spottier and spottier, and then it just dropped. And when I called him back, it was like talking to someone at a drive-through.
Yeah, you couldn't hear it.
So I just told him, I said, "Hey, man, thanks for your time." I said, "We got to wrap up the segment in about a minute, anyways."
Yeah.
I said, "Thanks for that. We'll reach out to you down the road." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
No, I just texted him now.
Yeah.
I totally.
My bad.
Oh my God.
Should have saved it for after you came back and said, "You know what? I got a good night's sleep, bro." I got a story for you then.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call. It's really weird how gambling is now embraced and everyone acts like they never hated it or bothered by it before.
You know what else is getting that same love? Weed.
Same thing.
For years it was taboo, and now we're getting to that point.
Man, I know.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad.
No,
same
Jason
thing.
forever,
Same thing with gambling.
Which my state will legalize.
There are people that you run
There's a
into in
lot
this
of people
business,
doing
right?
this.
That you always
Okay,
say, "Oh, he's the
all right,
nicest person you'll ever
Wake
meet."
Up Call with Tony.
Yeah.
But man, Stark is like
Weekday morning.
No, I
He
always
is
try
just
to get
such
him
a
on.
gem.
I've tried to get him on for Tony a couple of times, but it's too early.
Yeah.
Like he's always had something going on.
Yeah.
But at least he texts me back to let me know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the thing I don't mind. It's like I'll ask again down the road. I understand.
Right.
It's 8:40 in the morning for you. It's kind of tough.
Yeah, man. Even
But-
that last segment for you.
Yeah, but but it's annoying when I text them and I can see that they've read it and they don't respond. Like David Aldridge is like, you know what, fuck you.
Right.
So that like I'm a fan. I would love to have you on, but like you saw that I had called, you saw that I had texted you, and no response.
Yeah.
this craziness
Zero.
ending, life
You
will
never
never
get a
be the
response
same.
from him.
Pushing the odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday after.
And that's a part of the problem. Before he became, right when he got to NBA.com, used to be able to get him all the time.
Right.
Not an issue. Same with Sean Powell.
Yes. Okay.
Used to get,
Man,
used to-
when's
used
the
to have
last time you tried reaching him?
It's been a long time. But, he was one of my go-to guys back in the day.
Got it.
When he was just doing his own blog before he got snatched up by NBA.com.
Complete, absolute annihilation.
And the insider stuff that we have to deal with.
Got
The
it.
behind-the-scenes crap.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're listening to The Second Level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
I might preempt a story that Ron has for fake news about a Brazilian hotel as we'll open up the next hour. Hopefully not, because
No, I don't.
Nice.
I don't have anything in Brazil today.
Nice.
I did Bolivia yesterday.
You did
So
Bolivia, so you're out of South America.
I'm out of South America. today.
Gotcha. Now, Jason Stark, you hear this a lot. People, especially radio hosts, we always say this about people who have a couple of minutes to join us. Oh, great guy, love him. One of the nicest people. Jason Stark is the nicest person you'll ever meet. And I know this because I'll give you a prime example. My second ever radio job was co-hosting and being a producer of an afternoon drive show up in Princeton, New Jersey. We were technically in Philly with air quotes, but really, the station and the signal died, right like at the start of the city of Philadelphia. We just had a ESPN brand there. So I was doing a show, and one of the hosts on the show, Dan Schwartzman, a guy I've known forever. He actually was the PD and brought me up there from Atlantic City. We had a show, the Jason Stark Show. I think it was every Wednesday night or Thursday night at a local sports bar here in the area called Chickies and Pete's. And this was in Bordentown, New Jersey. So Schwartzman is just as annoying as I am, probably a little more. And he'll probably tell you I'm a little more. The two of us, I'd sit there and I'd make sure that nobody would get up to the table and stuff because people want to talk to Jason, ask him questions, interviews. And Jason was so nice, he would talk to everybody, but we had to keep people away at some point. So after the show, we get dinner because they'd comp us. And Jason would stay, hang with us, and just talk baseball with two of the most, I'm 25 years old, so I'm just hanging out. Oh, yeah, what about this? What about it? Schwartzman's 26. He's doing the same thing. Two snot-nosed punks that are in their mid-20s who think they know the world about radio are sitting there picking Stark's brain. And Jason was so patient, so nice, and would just hang with us every week. He didn't have to. We did plenty of shows with people who would just pick up and go and say, all right, hey, thanks for the time. I'll see you next week. Make sure the check clears. Now, I'm sure everybody, including Jason, want to make sure the check clears, but I'll never forget that. And I'll always be indebted to him because just because you do a show, Ron will tell you, just because you're on the air with somebody doesn't mean you have to like them. That's why he barely listens to these 2 hours. At Shander Show, at Ron Culbertson. I was waiting for it. Second hour is going to begin with something in Brazil that's MMA themed, and it ain't a fight. Also, what the NFL has to teach us about hockey.
Headed to Texas to watch your team play, but don't know where to go for that pregame drink? Visit CultureMap.com for all of the hottest spots in Houston, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio. From the most popular bars to those favorite dine-in gems, Culture Map has it all. Then before you leave town, why not visit some of the best places to shop or see some of the sights? Culture Map has extensive coverage on all the things to do in the city you're in. So check out CultureMap.com. That's CultureMap.com.
The Jake Asman Show. Jake Asman Show.
Adam Schefter joining us. How big of an advantage do you have during the football season when you're playing in your fantasy league and you're getting the inside scoop on the injury report before anyone else has?
Not as big as you think. I remember one time a head coach, Tim Hasselbeck, was playing Matthew Berry. I needed Tim to beat Matthew to make the playoffs. And I had a coach tell me, hey, this wide receiver's going to have a big game today. And I called Tim. I'm like, hey, this guy's on the waiver wire. Go pick him up. And he's like, okay. I said, get him in your lineup today against Matthew. We need a win. And on one of the very first plays of the game, the team threw a long pass to the guy. Guy dropped the pass. Guy was benched, didn't play again. So I always say, the more you know, the less you know. And I found that to be true over and over and over again, where you hear, oh, boy, this guy's a big part of the game plan, or we're planning on featuring this guy. And sometimes it's right, but a lot of times it's not. So when you ask what kind of advantage I have, I say not as big as you think.
The Jake Asman Show. Weekday mornings from 9 to 11 Eastern.
Hey, everybody. RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blogging the Boys podcast feed has daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner. Two-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast feed today.
Into the night.
The great Pat McAfee, an award-winning sports reporter, former punter, joins us now. Pat, I read that you said that you have no shot of being part of the Monday Night Crew. Is that official, or is that just your gut feeling?
A year ago, my boys and I and the people that follow me on the internet are the greatest humans on earth. We pushed for the Monday Night Football rule. We know there was no chance that I would get considered for it, but we've been a little bit annoyed. And whenever the job seemed to be opened up yet again here, obviously the natural thing was, okay, we made a push for it last year. Let's go for it again. And every time I would ask a question to, my people, I was basically told, that's going to be a long shot because ESPN, they want a prestigious booth again. And whenever you're a punter, that's not necessarily the position you're always in now. Prestigious one, shall we say. So I think I've been told on a couple of different occasions that I'm probably not the guy that's going to get that gig. And do I think I'd be good at it? Yeah, I think I would be. But now is not the right time. And there is zero chance in hell that I get offered the gig anyways.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. Pharrell's
It's Pharrell, coast to coast. We're taking over the world. And I got to tell you, from the beginning, it's been kind of easy. You got to love us on SB Nation, kicking ass and taking names. Every day, 4 to 6, you catch my Sports Grid coast to coast gig. And imagine this. Once we go live again, baby, you're not going to know what hit you when I start pouring beers and shots for you.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Farrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call. We know Major League Baseball is trying to get back, but eventually it will, and eventually minor league baseball will be back. And if you are a minor league team in need of a change of identity, would you go with Murder Hornets?
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Kind of like with a hat, with a Murder Hornet hat on it, maybe going through some letter or something. Like if you're Chattanooga, you got a C on it, and a Murder Hornet blasting through.
A Murder Hornet mascot running through the stadium.
Wouldn't it be cool if you have like a race between a bee and a Murder Hornet? Like, everybody, now let's go to the outfield where Harry the Murder Hornet is going to be running against a couple of bees. And you get the fans dressed up as bees, and they're running, and if they can outrun the Murder Hornet, they get a prize pack. But if the Murder Hornet catches them, unfortunately, he's got to rip their head off.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Listen to the car guru himself, Mike Herzing with Matt Peralt, every Saturday morning from 7 to 8 Eastern on Let's Talk Wheels, right here on SB Nation Radio. Join Mike and Matt as they talk about everything going on in the world of cars. To get more content on your favorite team, you can check out our friends at SBNation.com. They have team-specific sites to fit your needs, whether it's basketball, baseball, NFL, or the school you graduated from. SB Nation has you covered.
Wake up call.
Please, God, if it does come to that, can we have the Walking Dead zombies, not the World War Z?
Yeah, I don't need the fast-moving
superhuman.
Ooh,
I'm not outrunning a World War Z zombie.
I'm the guy you bring because secretly you know I can't keep up with the rest of the group. Hey, I'm going to take Bob and Jim and Tony. You come with us too, and everybody knows why you're bringing me. So when push comes to shove, I'm the meal.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Set your system's volume control for slightly above the normal listening level.
Let's go. Second level thinking is defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level. A Gal Media property in partnership with Jacob Media, where we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shander.
So, at some point this year, I'm expected to be married. Looks like the 4th day of September, as we pushed it back from July. No problem there. Much easier to do it then. And I imagine at some point I'll be going on a honeymoon, right? That's what you do. You get married, you go on a honeymoon, then you come back, and then life begins. I can promise you that we're not going to this adult-themed hotel in Brazil. And I'm sure it's not the only adult-themed hotel that has different types of suites that exist in the world. So it's not like I'd have to truly fly to Brazil to find different types of rooms, but maybe for this specific room. Now, I know there are plenty of fans of UFC, MMA out there throughout the world, and Brazil is a hot spot for that sport, recognizably so. But I do feel like you would have to really have a supporting significant other, like truly supportive significant other in this to push through and have your honeymoon or even a weekend getaway at the MMA Octagon themed suite at this adult motel in Brazil. It's an MMA themed room for role-playing couples. It even includes a training dummy on top of a full octagon bed. And the bed itself is round, like a circle, like an octagon, but it also has the cage up there as well. So if you want the true realism of what it's like to be in the octagon, except in this case, you're on a bed, you can go through with the MMA suite at this hotel. 3 reasons why they even give you to rent the suite. I don't know how much I can get through on this because we're still technically on in the morning here. The MMA suite is a true copy of the Octagon with a sensational bed inside the ring. The couple can really imagine themselves in that environment and let their imagination blossom. Is that really where you want to go and spend your honeymoon? Is it an Octagon? Wouldn't you be better served just going to a fight?
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
You're more focused than ever on keeping your employees and customers safe. Cintas has the products and services you need to feel prepared. Our Cintas technicians can apply our disinfectant and sanitizer spray throughout your facility. Our Ultra Clean service for restrooms uses a sanitizer effective against certain germs, bacteria, and viruses. And we'll help you stay well-stocked with hand sanitizer, face masks, and essential PPE. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Dell Technologies has special business savings right now to help you office everywhere and stay productive. Save up to 45% on desktops, laptops, and do-it-all servers with Intel Core processors. Upgrade to new modern devices with Windows 10 and save on essential electronics. All with free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusinessdeals.
You're going on a trip.
Hey, do you
Where are you
have
gonna stay? How much will it
what
cost?
audio do you
Well,
have
it'll
that
cost less by
from the
booking
sheet?
on besthotelrates.com. Best
I heard you
with
guys
all
play
the
a
top
Beckman.
hotels in the bring you great hotel and room choices for the best.
You want me to bounce back with Betty?
Do you have what? Do you have the 3 on the
Enter
prep
your
sheet?
email address and start shopping for your next hotel room.
No, I only grabbed one.
Okay, that's fine. Do you know which one it is?
Not off the top of my head.
All right, that's fine. You want to just bounce back with it?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, man.
Services.
I love getting my kids ready and driving them to school.
But a careless driver can change your life in an instant, and insurance companies want to settle on the cheap. Auto Accident Help Desk connects victims with powerful lawyers. They fight for you.
I called Auto Accident Help Desk and got help for my pain and suffering.
Don't let an insurance company take advantage of you. Our attorneys fight and beat big insurance every day.
Call 800-528-6859. 800-528-6859.
If you've been injured in an automobile accident in the last 6 months, you owe it to yourself to make this free call with no obligation. We're available 24/7 to help you get the money you deserve for your pain and suffering. Auto Accident Help Desk helps accident victims like you every day.
Call 800-528-6859. 800-528-6859. That's 800-528-6859.
Scratching beneath the surface.
Remix.
It's the second level, presented by Rocket Mortgage.
I was scratching.
Yeah. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
I am certain that depending on which team you root for, you can find some element of this package that you might prefer to be done differently. But we believe we have constructed an overall plan that includes all teams that, as a practical matter, might have had a chance of qualifying for the playoffs when the season was paused. And this plan will produce a worthy Stanley Cup champion who will have run the postseason gauntlet that is unique to the NHL.
Boy, you talk about a heavy contrast of sound that you just heard right now. We come back, technically Ron Culver comes back with one of the most recognizable arena songs in existence. And no, House of Pain didn't make that song 20 years ago, it feels like, for sports arenas, but it's been adapted now as one like a major jock jam to where you hear it once a night at any stadium, any game you go to, especially if there's a big moment. And then here comes the opposite of inspiring. Like the NHL has a plan to return. The NHL is the first. They beat the NBA. Of course they beat Major League Baseball. You heard Jason Stark 30 minutes ago. MLB can't get out of its own way. NFL is not even involved in this conversation. They can't be. They don't have to be because nothing is pushing them either way. They're good in August. They're good in September. But the NHL, it was a huge day for the NHL. And I just don't know what it is because it's going to sound and turn into a spiral of me just bashing Bettman. It's not. I just felt like if you come out on the day with your plan and you know it's going to be met overall with positive reception, who cares about detractors? Who cares? I mean, that's like the real life equivalent of the egg account with 32 followers that's been on the site for 10 years and is like a third burner account for somebody, that they're just doing that to troll the troll. Who cares? You can't please everybody. We know you can't please everybody, but the idea is that now you have a day that you can point to. You've got a month that you can point to. And we at least have something in our head that's conceivable about a real starting date. And nothing changes. So the NHL is not back on the ice before the NBA or MLB. The NHL is not playing games before MLB or the NBA. The only thing that the NHL truly did first is present a plan of action. And that in its own right is how sad of a state of affairs we're in with Major League Baseball. That Major League Baseball is almost doing this to a fault. You almost have to ask yourself, how are you lacking so much self-awareness? And one thing Jason Stark said with us was the outside pressure. Talked about that, threw it to him as far as how much of what Gary Bettman's plan, now tangible plan, is going to move MLB's owners, going to move the players into saying, we got to get something done. And Jason said that's the last remaining hope right now. I mean, we really have one final bag, if you will, to go to. We have one final long shot. It's a Hail Mary. Now, luckily, we've got like Doug Flutie dropping back. Is there a more modern example that I can use of the Hail Mary? Is there, can I go Cordell Stewart, Michael Westbrook? See, I don't think that's as famous.
Tebow!
Oh, geez. That wasn't a Hail Mary in the playoffs against the Steelers. That was a quick slant.
It was divine intervention, though.
Okay, that's different than a Hail Mary, all right? You could pray for something to happen. It could be like people prayed for the miracle at the Meadowlands to happen, and look what happened. You know, Herm Edwards scoops the ball up and scores. There has to be a better, more modern example of the Hail Mary than going back to Doug Flutie. That can't be. It's like what's that crazy music? Why am I blanking on the guy, the English guy? Benny Hill, right? Can't we update that song? Like, isn't there a more modern song that is synonymous with just wackiness and ridiculousness and craziness? And you hear that Benny Hill theme, and it's like, all right, man, that thing's been around forever. Can't we update it? Like, I should be able to give an example of a Hail Mary and not have to go back to Doug Flutie. And I still don't think that the Westbrook and Stewart one is big enough. Is that it? Is that all we have, Ron? Really? 2? Come on. There has to be one that we're missing. Most famous Hail Marys of all time. Now, we'd have to get something more recent.
Let's see. You got Brett Favre's.
Which one was that?
Oh, no. It wasn't really a Hail Mary. That one was a pass. How about Rogers to Rogers?
Aaron Rodgers to...
Was it Robbie Rogers or...
Now, see, I have a list of a ton right here. Tennessee, Florida. All right, so let's look at this. College. Is there any college that comes to mind in... mean, some of these are coming in like, right before the first half. So I don't count that. And do we really want to go back to, 2000 versus, Northwestern versus Minnesota? I feel like in the NFL, oh, yeah, here we go. How about the Minnesota Miracle? Does that count as a Hail Mary? Probably not, right?
No, that was a bust. That was a bad pass.
Broken play.
A traditional Hail Mary isn't a traditional Hail Mary. It's got to make it to the end zone, or maybe like when Aaron Rodgers threw to
Jeff Janis.
Aaron Rodgers threw to Robbie Rogers. I think his first name is Robbie.
Wait, what game are you talking about? Because I have. Oh, wait, you're talking about the 2015 game against the Lions. There was one after that in the next round where he threw one 41 yards to Jeff Janis.
No, I thought the Aaron Rodgers to Robbie Rogers, that was a big
Richard Rogers.
66-yard
pass.
Yeah, I thought that was a big one. Didn't that win like a Monday Night Football game or something?
This was second to last play of the game. Green Bay completed a number of lateral passes until Aaron Rodgers was brought down with no time left. However, a penalty was called against the Lions, Devin Taylor, for a face mask on Rodgers. Packers were given 15 yards additional play. And then during that play, Rodgers evaded 3 Lions pass rushers for 8 seconds before throwing a 66-yard pass to the 4 Packers receivers and tight end Richard Rodgers, former Eagle as well. Rodgers caught the pass. Packers win. The Miracle in Motown. It was Rodgers' first successful Hail Mary pass. Okay, that's it. Now I think that can replace Doug Flutie. Is that fair?
Yes.
Are you okay with this? Because if not,
then with that.
All right, we're going to have to spend 5 more minutes on this. I like it. I think that would be it. The Miracle in Motown. So that's it. Going back to the original point that I was making, this is the last Hail Mary Miracle in Motown that MLB has right now to play, which is if we truly want to start things when we said we did at the start of July and not look to be made even more foolish, we better get something done. Now, 20 minutes, I'll explain as we'll go back to something brought up in the show previous to me and Jake Asman about, and it really got Ron hot here, about the World Cup idea with the NBA. There is something that can be applied. Major League Baseball just needs to be creative and stop with the intricacies and difficulties of how hard it will be to work out the finances of some new or unique tournament that they can draw up when we've seen the NHL go through international borders in order to bring people back in a safe manner. The NHL and the NBA are going to make the MLB look stupid if MLB can't get it together and tries to put it all on the coronavirus, tries to blame the pandemic. Do you know how ridiculous Major League Baseball is going to look in August when the MLB is just out of the picture? Major League Baseball is out of the picture. Here you have the NBA and hockey in full swing, and you actually have preseason football with half of the stadium full. How are they going to turn around and successfully blame that on the pandemic? Well, see, folks, we tried. Both sides tried, but it was just not worth the risk. It just wasn't safe enough. And as I can feel it, it's like one of these movies, right, where somebody is talking. It's like you can see it in your head right now. The screen is showing a full or like 65% full capacity NFL stadium for a preseason game up in Green Bay. And all you hear is an owner in MLB coming out saying, look, we really tried to get this thing together. We really tried to get a season for the fans, but both sides just thought that it wasn't safe enough. And we really had to err on the side of safety and caution as opposed to getting this sport back together. That's going to be met with ridicule. It's going to be met with shock to some people, but others are just going to turn their back. If there was ever a reason remaining to where you would say, that's it, I've had it, it would be at least the perception of being lied to by MLB. Just admit it. It's money. They couldn't come up with it. It doesn't have to fit in a nice 82-game compartment. You can think outside the box. Fake news next on the Second Level.
Let's go.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault.
I want to talk about baseball and the money conversation. What's going on?
I think I'm allergic to lemon.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that later, okay? Madeline, I'm on the air, kiddo. I can't talk right now, okay? We'll talk later, okay? Hold on. Just stay right there. I have a commercial break coming up. This is what I'm dealing with the fiber. And my wife is here. I don't know why. Why is mommy letting you in here, Madeline? Do you want to come on the radio or what? Go ahead. What?
Yes, now.
Yes, now? Wait, so just say hi, and then you can be gone, okay?
I'm going to come on the radio now.
You're on the radio now. That microphone's on. You're on the radio now.
Hi, bye. I have headphones.
Those are headphones. Yes, you do. So, yeah, that's my life now, okay? I'm getting interrupted doing national radio with a 5-year-old running in and out. Okay. Thanks, hon. Appreciate it. I'll come talk to you during the commercial break. Oh, boy. Okay.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Game Time Decisions.
I'm Gabriel Morency, inviting you to join me and the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart weekdays at 6 Eastern on SB Nation Radio, the loudest station in the nation. No games, no problem. We've got your back. Weekdays at 6. We throw it down. Best bets, props. If they're playing, we'll find a number on it. Bring it. Weekdays at 6. SB Nation Radio. Game Time Decisions.
Game Time Decisions with Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Into the night.
Now imagine how pissed off Bryce Harper must have been while he's playing Fortnite with the bros. And he gets dropped in. All of a sudden, his computer beeps, and you have a new message.
Right. Incoming email.
Incoming email from the commissioner. And then he says, bros, I got to stop the Fortnite, man. I'm kicking ass here. I got to put down my joysticks. Brah. By the way, that's Snell Bra, man. That dude, that's my boy right there. And he's got to read a 67-page report, Harry Mays.
There's no way Snell Bra made it to page 3. Okay, let's be real.
Snell Bra probably opened the first page and said, screw this.
He's not getting paid $7 million to read this.
Hell no. 67 pages. You got to pay me double what I was supposed to get.
And then I'm getting taxed.
It's just not worth it, man. It's just not worth it.
I mean, I'm only getting paid to read 20 pages of it.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. Pharrell.
Coast to coast. It's Pharrell, coast to coast, every day, 4 to 6. I talk to the biggest names in sports. I talk to GMs, coaches, owners, players, and they're all doing the same thing. They're laughing, and they're breaking up, and they don't know whether they're coming or going when I'm done with them. I'm giving you what you want. Sports down your throat, big time on SB Nation, baby.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
So, can I ask you a question?
Fake news with Ron. With all the fake news out there.
Don't believe those lies.
It's on Shander to give it to you straight. 3 stories, but only one is fake.
It's true. I know it's a weird thought, but it's true.
Can Shander spot the fraud? Here's Ron Culver.
All right, how you feeling today, John?
Not bad. You know, I walked 9 before the show. Got to listen to the Jake Gasman show featuring Ron Culver.
That's right.
I got to listen to one of the best back and forth arguments that I've heard in a while.
And I'm still right.
Yeah. You know, I've heard you and Tony talk for an extensive period of time. I have never heard you that agitated before. Not even with me.
Yeah, I get every once in a while. I get agitated when I want to drive that point home because my point was right, his was wrong. You got to include all 30 teams.
I thought you were going to reach over.
That made me so much fun.
It felt like you were going to strangle the guy.
I had to leave the studio, go into the next room over. It's just I wouldn't.
Did you toss your headphones at the break? Like, damn it all.
No.
Okay.
I was smiling most of the time though.
I could see it. I could actually hear you smiling on one of the points you made. That's why when I brought it up in the first hour, I was unsure. And you really got me at one point because I hear you talk and I'm thinking, wait a second. I could see Ron smile as he says this. And then you just kept berating him. And he kept coming back from where he's hanging out with you after the show.
In fact, his stuff is still here. He has yet to leave.
I tell you, man.
He's not in the room, so maybe he's doing an interview or something.
He's doing something. I leave before Jake Asman
maybe
does.
He's auditioning for another studio. We don't know. We don't know anymore.
All right, let's get
another network.
Probably.
Washington, D.C. is going to be the stop of our first fake news story.
Oh, no. Okay.
Washington, D.C. is on the verge of legalizing alcohol to go permanently.
So there are already areas in this country where you can do that. I know you can.
Great state of Texas.
You can just do a drive-through, right?
You can. Hey, we have not too far from my house. I mean, they're not all over the place. I don't want you to think that there's they're as popular as McDonald's, but there's a few places. There's one not too far. I drive by it quite often when taking my son to baseball practice. That I could, if wanted to, stop in, go through the drive-through, and just order a daiquiri.
Right.
To go.
Now, a lot of these places that I've seen in the Southeast allow you to drive up and push the button of what drink you want, where you don't even need to talk to anybody.
There's also drive-through liquor stores.
Yes.
Where you can drive through what looks like a big, gigantic barn.
Yep.
And there's aisles of alcohol on either side, and somebody will come out, grab it for you, hand it to you, you give them the money, and then you just drive. You don't even have to get out of your car.
Scranton and a lot of places actually in PA have the same building, except it's beer, where you drive your car in and then you get all the beer you want.
So now we could potentially have this in D.C. where they make all the laws of the country.
Well, didn't you already assume that at least half of the people making laws were belligerent drunk anyway?
Yes. Yeah, I have assumed this. That's why I don't know if this is such a good thing.
Well, it could be like a health where it's like, during the pandemic.
Let me paint this picture for you because you know what's going to happen now. Congressman's going to write a bogus law. He's going to stop in or just be driving home and grabbing some alcohol and then cruising down the street. He's going to forget himself because that's not his first drink of the day.
Right.
And thinking that he's going home to his family when in fact he's going to his mistress.
And that's going to cause a huge issue.
Yes. Or he's going to be calling his wife to say he's on the way home, or actually he's going to be, but thinking he's calling his mistress or something along those lines, where we're just going to have more scandal. I mean, it's already a scandalous city anyways.
No, I understand that. See, I thought maybe a different angle, which is if I'm a shady politician and I'm racing to get some shady either end of a pork bill or the actual bill itself passed, that I'm going to dip out real quick while somebody's filibustering, go to the drive-through down the street, come back and get all the people who oppose me drunk and just wear them out. Or just bring liquor to the.
You can do that too.
Or just bring liquor to the party.
Bring liquor to the party.
You could be one of those guys every now and again and actually bring something to the party, Ron.
That's true.
Don't have to be totally selfish, right?
I guess I guess so.
All right, that's story one, and unfortunately, it's way too believable.
Story number two. I'm going to give you a stat line here, a score line, if you will. You ready?
Yes.
Driver's windshield 1. Turtle 0. That's the final score after a turtle slammed itself into a car windshield on a highway.
How does a turtle get that high up?
I have no idea. I'm thinking maybe it fell off a bridge or an overpass or something like that.
Right, because there's
but
no
I'm
contact.
surprised that the windshield didn't just shatter.
But again,
because a turtle, I mean, that's a hard shell, right?
It is a hard shell, but right, if you dropped it shell first and it landed on your windshield from a bridge, you would think it would crack. The windshield.
At least.
Right.
This windshield came away with nothing.
But it's almost physically impossible for a turtle to be on the ground and you to be driving 70, 75 on a highway, hit the turtle on the ground, and then it come up. Right? I mean, I don't know how that could physically work. How would a turtle, like, it's not high enough off the ground. A human being, yes. Right? You would need some sort of leverage on the ground to upend, and a turtle's just too low to the ground. You just flatten it.
Yeah.
Or you'd bounce it like, a video game, like Super Mario Brothers. Huh. It must have come from above. The turtle from above. And what kind of car? Do we know what kind of car this is? You want to talk about
I know,
a commercial.
The commercial and a half, right?
Is Eastern Motors going to use this for their commercial now?
It's hard to tell. It's a white car. It's hard to tell what kind of car it is.
Is it a Bronco?
No. I mean, it's a car. It's not a SUV or anything like that. It's an actual,
wow.
It looks like, I wouldn't even say a sedan at this point. I would say it's some sort of two-door.
Hey, that is a commercial right there, ready to happen. If the
But
car,
nowhere they're identifying what kind of car it is.
got it.
That-
Okay.
They should, though.
I'm telling you,
Come on, you can drive sales for that car to skyrocket right now.
That's the whole commercial right there. Some two kids dropping a turtle off a bridge,
Yeah.
and in showing you it doesn't do anything to the windshield. All right, I love it. What's 3?
Story number 3. Stephen King has lit Twitter ablaze right now by posing one simple question. Assuming The Godfather and The Godfather 2 are the best, what are the other 8 greatest gangster movies? And people can't get enough of this content. I think this is
I hope this is fake.
I think this is quarantine level, don't you?
Yes.
That Stephen King, I mean, I wouldn't even assume. I assume he likes gangster movies.
But you would,
and gangster
isn't it an
books, but-
awkward thing in your head to picture Stephen King sitting down and watching Goodfellas?
Yeah. Yeah, because all you're thinking about, like all I'm thinking about is if I'm with him watching him, he's trying to find some way to kill someone in a dark, sinister way that's not
like
over
De Niro.
the top scary.
Yes, it's not like De Niro putting a gun to your face. It's
No.
some animal that you've never. It's like that
Yeah.
horse bat that you brought up the other day that's coming out. Like that's something out of Stephen King's
It
mind.
would have been
Hammerhead
like,
bat.
I wouldn't have used a bat. I wouldn't have used a gun. I would have had a clown come up from a sewer drain.
Well, yes, but it's not a real bat, remember, or a regular bat. We're talking about a bat that looks like Joe Camel's face.
Yes.
Like that is something out of Stephen King, not a regular bat. No. Man, see, here's the thing. I hope that story is fake so we don't have to then talk about the 8 greatest gangster movies and fall into the trap of being full on quarantine. But my gut tells me that it's real. Although I haven't seen, like I was on Twitter right before this segment, seeing if I would pick up on any trends, and I didn't see anything with Stephen King. I'm going to say story 3. I'm going to stick to my gut, actually, and say story 3 is fake.
Story 3 is fake?
Yes.
No.
Damn it.
Story 2.
Really? The turtle?
I don't know any flying turtles.
Well, no, I thought it was just dropped from a bridge. Like I could see.
I have no idea.
You know how many times around the world somebody's standing on a bridge, spitting over the bridge on the turnpike? So I figured, all right, now you add a turtle to it. It made sense.
Sure.
Well,
I'll go with you on that one.
Story 1, though, is real now. So
Story 1 is real. So, yeah, DC, be prepared. There could be legal alcohol coming your legal to go alcohol.
And it does feel like DC is lagging, right? When you look at all the other states that have allowed this for years.
Well,
like,
I mean, I'm kind of new to it because, California, Arizona, Hawaii, they don't have to go alcohol. You can't just drive through a convenient. You can't. I mean, obviously, you can't have open container. That's across the United States, but you can't cruise through. There's no to go alcohol places that I've ever seen.
And now you're in Houston, and it's
now
everywhere.
I'm in Houston, and I mean, it's seeing a drive-through liquor store is kind of the norm. Seeing this daiquiri place, like, yeah, well, of course there's a daiquiri place. Surprised there's not a margarita place.
Yeah, good luck, DC. You're definitely going to need it now. All right, I guess we have to look at Stephen King's list coming up.
Jay Farner here.
I don't know if he put out a list.
Oh, I thought he.
I think he just listed saying, hey, these are the top 2 gangster movies, which I'm not 100% agreeing with.
Right.
I mean, I think they're great, but my number 1 gangster movie still is going to be Goodfellas.
A cash out
just
refinance
gave
could
those
give you that
2.
financial boost you're
Do
looking
you have
for.
the tweet?
Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com.
I'm looking for it again.
Information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Your employees and customers have new expectations when it comes to cleanliness. Cintas has the products and services you need to feel prepared. A trained Cintas technician can apply disinfectant and sanitizer spray to common surfaces. And we'll keep you well stocked with gloves.
So now he's modified it.
Oh, okay, great. Let's do this then.
So now the question was, assuming The Godfather and Godfather 2 are the best, what are the other 8 great gangster movies? Then he followed that tweet up probably minutes later, because in no time at all, he probably was bombarded going,
crushed.
Assuming Goodfellas is 3, what are the other 7 best gangster movies?
Music.
No, the new upgraded network.
I think he's looking for requests, to be honest with you.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that it will make Pitbull songs faster.
Oh, so this isn't the song.
No, this is the song.
Well, this is embarrassing.
Step up with Boost Mobile's new upgraded network. Stronger signal, faster speeds, more coverage than before. Switch and get 4 unlimited lines for $25 per line per month and 4 free LG K51 phones. Access to upgraded network requires compatible device. New customers only. 4-line offer requires at least 1 port and activation from eligible carrier. Free phone limited to 1 per line while supplies last. Customers using more than 35 gigabytes of data during billing cycle may be deprioritized during times of congestion. Offers and coverage not available everywhere. Additional terms and restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com or retailer for full details.
My name is Megan Eddings, and I am not only the founder and CEO of Excel Lifestyle,
All right, I'm gonna,
but I'm the chemist who invented the
I'm going to try and
Puma
get to these two
antibacterial
things,
face mask.
knock them out, and then we can
Research
talk
shows
about
that wearing a
the
face
Stephen
mask will
King thing. And then
drastically
Peralt
reduce
said
the
he's
spread of
good, so I'll break
coronavirus.
it like
In
51,
some cities,
52.
wearing a face mask is mandatory. Okay. At Excel Lifestyle, we want to help keep you and your loved ones safe and healthy. Our masks actually exceed the CDC's recommendations as our masks are washable, soft, double layer for added protection, and even antibacterial. Hospitals such as Houston Methodist have purchased thousands of Excel Prima antibacterial masks to help their frontline healthcare professionals stay safe. To buy your mask, please go to excellifestyle.com. That's ACCELLIFESTYLE.com. Once we receive your order, we will ship your mask out immediately. Thank you and stay safe.
Dealing with the root of the issues. It's the second level. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
All right, we're going to get to two things, and then Ron and I will look at the Stephen King tweet that has since been amended, and rightfully so. First, as this just came down, this is gigantic news for any type of contact sport in boxing, and especially the UFC. Huge for Dana White and the UFC. The Nevada Athletic Commission has just approved the following events to take place in Las Vegas, and I'm reading this from Arash Markazi's Twitter account. May 30th, mark your calendars now. May 30th, UFC Fight Night. June 6th, UFC 250. And then June 9th and 11th will be top-ranked boxing events. So boxing is back, and more importantly, from a larger scale, entertaining, and betting standpoint, you have the return of UFC in a natural environment, which would be Las Vegas. And we needed the Nevada Athletic Commission to kind of catch up to where we see society, at least from the outside in Nevada and specifically Vegas. I know their mayor with their wacky plans there to reopen and do everything possible. And we're kind of waiting here in the Philly Atlantic City area for any type of go-ahead with casinos. But as far as sporting events, that's still a distant future. I don't know if we're going to get a UFC event in Atlantic City anytime soon, or even Philadelphia for that matter, or here in Vegas. You know, you can locked in, and May 30th is 3 days. So UFC Fight Night approves it by the Nevada Athletic Commission. We now have locked in Fight Night in 3 days, and the continued success. I am a little hesitant because we don't have any real data. I don't think that's come in yet. That's been built up. But so far, it seems like a resounding success with the UFC returning to business and doing everything possible to keep fighters safe and distant from each other until, of course, they hit the octagon. And there is nothing in this tweet or anything to follow that would suggest any hotel, I would say, is offering the MMA-themed suite for couples on a weekend getaway like you can down in Brazil. So huge news for the UFC first and foremost. Right around the corner is UFC 250. So two big cards as they've been continuing to welcome the sport back in major fashion with some huge names and some big fights. And it's paid off. I think from an entertainment standpoint, anybody who's watched the majority, if not all of these fights, you've been rewarded. I don't think that there have been many, if at all serious disappointments about a build-up for a fight. And then, I still think people want to see Conor McGregor back at some point this year, but steps, and they're not even baby steps anymore. These are above toddler steps right now that both the athletic commissions in different states, as well as what's happening with the individual sport like UFC, they're all taking. So that's one. The second is a article, say, not really a report, because some things are being reported in this, but it's mainly a think piece by Jason La Canfora on CBSSports.com. And it's something that, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we had it, I would talk. All of us, a lot of us, I know anybody who has had a vested interest in the XFL has brought up at some point over the last year that really over the last couple of months, I mean calendar year since January, but over the last couple of months since this thing ended, that the NFL should be the primary buyer of the league, that this should be assimilated into the NFL as a feeder league, as one that you can really test out players to coaches right through officials, because there isn't anything like this right now that exists. And the platform is there. We already see the NFL pinch things away, mostly technological stuff, but every now and again, a rule here or there. And while you still have a different league and it's still presented differently than the NFL, it's not copying and then pasting the NFL onto the XFL, you still have your own sense of a unique presentation of the product, but you are now owned and operate under the umbrella of the NFL. You don't have to worry about crazy old Vince McMahon, and you don't have to worry about stadiums and things to that nature of what are you going to do, where are you going to play. You also know that you're getting the marketing and financial arm of the NFL. Can't tell you that it's going to be to the full extent, but it's going to be a whole hell of a lot more of a kickback and a payback, or not payback, but it will be a lot more of a kickback and payoff of lining up with the NFL than you would get with the XFL, because even the WWE money and all the things Vince McMahon had coming in wasn't enough. So it does make sense, at least to me on the surface, where you can, as Jason La Canfora said, address issues while championing player development and officiating development as well. That's something that we've been clamoring for a while. Even the AAF, before it went flat, was something that we thought could turn into more of a feeder league. Hey, you've got a couple of big name players in the XFL that were already brought on to NFL teams, quarterbacks as well. And that's a huge sign right there. Doesn't mean that PJ Walker is going to play in Carolina this year, but it means that there is at least acknowledgement and acceptance of the skill set and the level of talent in the XFL to give them a shot and bring them on as a roster spot in the NFL. So yes, La Canfora, like myself and countless of other people have been saying this for months now, the XFL is 10 times better off without Vince McMahon, with now the NFL overseeing and running it. Doesn't mean that Roger Goodell now you can still do this. We see this with the G League. We see this with other feeder leagues in sports, not even in this country. It can work successfully. You just have to line it up this way. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show, 800-224-2004, all ways that you can interact with the program. It makes sense to me because the XFL was working. And you get countless reports now that come out following after the fact that say, well, everything is going to suffer a little bit of a decline when it comes to ratings. But for the most part, you had a couple of cities that were locked in for attendance that did not decline. And that was enough overall to capture an audience to say it's worth it moving forward. And let's be honest, if you change one of maybe 2 or 3 teams on the bottom, and they get a little better and they get more competitive, you're bringing in a bigger audience. That New York team was trash. Matt McGloin didn't know what the hell he was doing, through 3 picks in like the span of 6 minutes. It was an awful start to a season, and that definitely is going to detract from fans who might be spending some time at an XFL game versus going shopping or redoing the deck. Stephen King, one of the stories that was real in fake news is this tweet that Stephen King put out. And I didn't see it. So you saw, I guess, Ron, the first tweet and then realized, I guess King realized that he had to switch things up really fast.
Yeah,
right?
he had to modify the tweet because, I mean, it's a clear obvious. If you're going to choose Godfather 1 and 2, it's beyond obvious what number 3 is.
Is it an obvious choice of either two or maybe even both? Is that it? I mean, is that the only two you can go to? Can nobody make an argument that Goodfellas is above at least one of the Godfather movies?
I'm going to make an argument that Goodfellas is above
both.
Both.
Okay, I'm listening.
I think there's more rawness in Goodfellas that you didn't see in the Godfather. See, Godfather 1. I mean, first of all, you got to look at them separate because they are two separate movies, obviously. But Godfather 1 is more just, you know, the almost glorifies the peacefulness of mafia life. And yeah, sure, there's a few bad things every once in a while, but for the most part, you know, it's just a guy who makes tough decisions amongst his friends.
I don't think it holds up, to be honest, nearly as well as Godfather 2.
No, Godfather 2, I mean, because it's almost like, but that Godfather 2 feels it's an
long.
It's an origin story.
Yeah, and you go back to Michael in the army, and
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to put it on the same parallel as a lot of these Marvel movies that we've had where it's been an origin story, but it kind of feels like it's an origin story.
Well, yeah, but so to be fair, I think that, and I hate to just be, you know, bashing on Marvel or anything, but I feel like the origins. That's fine. I might hurt people's feelings.
You, Aton?
I see numbers dropping on the stream right now as I speak. Here's the thing, though. I feel like we have totally killed the origin story. Like the origin story used to be something where, if used few and far between, could actually work, especially as a sequel. But now it's just justified to make another movie. Like, I guarantee you the 50th installment of Fast and Furious will go back and be an origin story of one of the main 10 characters if they haven't done that already.
Probably. You're probably right.
So I wonder if you can appreciate it a little more knowing that it wasn't in an era that you were heavily inundated with these origin movies, origin stories.
No, yeah.
See, I would put Godfather 2 and
above Godfather.
Oh yeah, but see, I would put Goodfellas above Godfather. I think Godfather is overrated, to be honest with you, and I think the reason why people overrated it is because it spurned Godfather 2, which is an amazing masterpiece.
And I mean, if you think about it probably spurned all these other gangster movies that are on this list.
All right, so let's look at this. I'll throw a movie.
Now I'm looking at different people's list. This isn't Stephen.
Oh, it's
King's
not.
List.
Let's look at King's.
He doesn't have a.
Oh,
list.
he just threw this thing out there.
Threw this out there. He said, "Hey, if Godfather and Godfather 2 are 1 and 2 in gangster movies, what are the rest of the 8?" Then he modified that and go, "Okay, if Goodfellas is 3, what are the rest of the 7?"
Okay, here's a movie I'm sorry.
Everyone's just kind of jumping on board. And they're just giving their top 10.
Okay,
and there's a pattern here where it's pretty similar what the movies are. They're just in different orders.
Just save me anxiety and angst and really being upset for the rest of the day, and tell me that the majority of people did not put Road to Perdition on there.
Majority of people did not put Road to Perdition.
Then I'm a happy man.
I have not.
Thank you.
I'm actually looking to see. I mean, these are
Tom Hanks as a gangster is a violation.
Yeah, these are all random people.
All right, so let's look at this.
One person did say, "Damn, forgot about Road to Perdition."
Yeah, it's good
Great
that they
movie.
forgot. Trust me, it's a good thing. All right, let's.
I do like. I want to highlight this one.
Go ahead.
This one guy, because I do like where he's going. He went with 12 movies. This is the Logical Optimist, which is at Optimist Logical. So he went to 12. He put Godfather, Godfather 2, 1, 2, 3, Goodfellas. Number 4 for him was The Departed.
It's too high, but okay.
Number 5 is Casino. Number 6, Once Upon a Time in America, the full cut version.
Those are fine there.
Now this is where I like his thinking. Okay, because it's good. It's
tell me he has Dick
changes.
Tracy on there.
Number 7, Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a liberal interpretation of gangster movies.
Yeah, I know, but I kind of like that because, then number 8, Eastern Promises. Number 9, Menace to Society. Number 10, American Gangster.
Okay. I mean, I
he left off, I guess He left off some of the other ones that
he left off Scarface and Carlito's Way.
Donnie Brasco.
Yeah, I think Donnie Brasco. It's really hard to make a good movie that's based on a real story.
I know.
And Donnie Brasco was insanely good.
Yeah.
I don't hate that list. I like the liberal interpretation
I
of
do
it.
too. I saw that. I was like, okay, yeah, that's a gangster movie. I mean, it's a different gangster. Now, how about this one? Reservoir Dogs. This one was popping up on a lot of people's lists. Is that a gangster movie to you?
I guess technically it is a gangster movie, but I wouldn't put it ahead of any of the movies I've heard so far. Even The Departed, I wouldn't put it ahead of them. I think it's a good movie, but it's not top 10 of all time.
I'm with you.
Look at that. We'll end on an agreement, a rare agreement. I didn't think,
agreement.
Based on how heated you were with Asman, I didn't think I could get you to agree on anything today. Now, that's something I heard on this morning show. Coming up, I heard something yesterday on Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault, which you'll hear coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern across all network platforms, that I figured we would just go to the source and ask him about it coming up next.
Introducing AutomotiveMap.com.
Yeah, that's a good
a
list.
Brand new website for anyone interested.
Yeah.
World of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road. Automotive Map.
No, I mean, you should see some of the people. I mean, I have, there's some people put down on here, Usual Suspects. I don't know if I would go, that's a gangster movie.
See, the problem is that if you're going to start putting in Boys in the Hood, then you kind of have to put in Reservoir Dogs and the other
Boys in
ones.
the Hood, I feel is different though than The Usual Suspects or the Departed. I don't know. I see what you're getting at.
Well, wouldn't it be like two sides or two extremes of the same example, where you have
Probably.
not Reservoir Dogs. What's the other one? Boys in the Hood, and what was the other one?
Menace to Society.
No, the other Reservoir Dogs and Usual Suspects.
Usual Suspects. That's one that popped up on here.
See, that's the
I
thing.
don't
Is
see him
like
as I don't see that as a gangster.
right
Movie, though.
is a bad guy. A
would
bad
be
guy in a
that would
movie is
be
not
my
necessarily a gangster.
Yeah.
What's that?
Here. Yeah.
Oh,
over
is
here.
that Perrault?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's Perrault talking.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'll get there.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Nobody said The Irishman, huh?
Into the night.
Seriously, now.
Are we done with this yet?
Not yet. What do you mean, are we done? You called here. You want me to be like a regular talk
Let me tell you,
show
the
host and
King
just
of New
hang
York.
on
Now
him
that's a
and
gangster
run
movie.
him?
How do you
Should I
not
run
have
him?
that in
No,
it?
No, I'm not racking him.
They're not racking them.
Jim Rome only racks great calls. He has a take, but he sort of sucks at the same time. I think that's going to be my new thing. You know, you had a take or two, but for the most part, I got to run you.
Into the night with
How many
Tony
Viggo
Bruno and Harry
Mortensen
Mays.
movies are there going to be
Weeknights
about,
at
you know,
10
like
Eastern.
History of Violence or Eastern
the
Promises,
night.
right?
Ernie Johnson, the host of the NBA on TNT,
Or Lord of the Rings.
be a lot of pushing and
Is that a
pulling from
gangster
different
movie?
sides.
That's well by definition, right?
Yes.
You got more than 4 people just kind of cruising, trying to ruin one warlord's time.
Yeah, good time, man.
Because you see states.
I mean, was Middle Earth really hurting?
No, it was a preemptive strike, man.
I mean, everything, but the hobbits didn't seem to mind until Gandalf came with this ring and said, "Hey, you need to return this,
Right.
bitch."
Everything was fine. Like it was
things are
nice
right on
and
track.
The hobbits were just chilling, relaxing. Sure, there was wars going on, but when is a war not going on?
that war wasn't going on where they lived,
right?
right? Wasn't it
Not
nice?
where,
and-
not where the hobbits lived.
right. No.
You know, the other places there was shit to deal with.
Yeah, well, there was always shit. That's like Beirut for 20 years.
You just had to start some shit. That was all.
That's true.
You're listening to The Second Level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
One quick thing. I'll just mention this. We don't need to go back and forth about it. We'll probably talk a little more about this tomorrow. But King of New York, Christopher Walken, that has to be on your top 10. It's his best top 5 role by a mile, and he dominates the screen. So yesterday, walking the dog, as I normally do in my routine, have the dog out, walking around the neighborhood, and in my ear is Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault. And I heard Matt go on a rant early on in the show. And I have to be honest, brother, like I am listening to the point where I'll be the annoying radio host that texts you every now and again. I forgot I was listening to you.
Why?
Because you were ripping Tom Brady. And the only conclusion I could come up with is that if this man were still wearing 12 for the Patriots, you would have said, no, he's an 8 handicap. He just had a bad day and all these other things. You tore into Brady like I've never heard before, Matt.
It was embarrassing. I mean, who in their right mind said Tom Brady should be out there playing golf? And why did Tom Brady? I mean, as I said it yesterday, if you want to tell me that Tom Brady is a good golfer, my question to you is this. What good golfer on a par 4, 505-yard hole in the rain hits 3-wood?
I thought it was a 4 hybrid.
League, that's the most Bush League 15 handicap. And by the way, he put it in the woods. He didn't even hit it in the fairway. He could not even hit the fairway with a 3-wood. And reportedly, he didn't bag a driver in the rain.
Now, just
for
be
a
honest.
7,000-yard hole. Are you kidding me? That's the biggest embarrassing thing. Brady will never live that down.
Look at you, though. You've never called him Bush League before in your life. Admit
I would
that.
whip him if he was a Patriot player right now. I would say the exact same thing.
No way.
He embarrassed himself and whatever franchise he's playing for, which is the Buccaneers right now, in good riddance. They can have him. The retirement in Tampa has already started.
I love you, man, but I don't believe a word of that. If he were a Patriot, you'd be defending him to the day you die. That's Matt Perrault. He's next. All right, man. Thank you,
You know
Ron.
why he doesn't have a driver?
Why?
Because Johnny Drama broke it.
In Entourage?
In Entourage.
What, he snap it over his knee?
Yeah, don't you remember?
No, I didn't watch that show. So
there's a scene where one of the characters, Johnny Drama,